And then the last point there under step number 2 is if you've got two different substituents, then you must number them according to their alphabetical order. So when you number them according to the alphabetical order, the one that comes first in the alphabetical order must have a lower number. You'll see when we get to the examples what do I mean by this. I'll also emphasize at that point. All right. Number 3, you identify the number of substituents. If I've got 1 carbon and the 3 hydrogen, then my substituent will be methyl. And then if there are 2 carbons and 5 hydrogens, then my substituent there will be ethyl. And then if there are 3 carbons with 3 carbons, they're supposed to have 3 multiplied by 2, which is 6 plus 2, which is 8. So that one will have 7 hydrogens, and then my substituent will be propyl. All right? And then you must assign the number to each substituent according to the point that on the parent name that this substituent is attached to. And then if you've got more than one type of substituent, we said you must name them according to the alphabetical order. And then if you've got 2 substituent or 3 substituent that is identical, maybe we've got 2 of the methyl substituent or 2 of the ethyl substituent, then you use before you write methyl, you must use di. So if there are 2 of the methyls, you will name that dimethyl or trimethyl if there are 3. Or if it's the ethyl, it will be diethyl or triethyl. All right? And then when you look at the number of the parent name, the di and the tri do not affect the position of your naming. Like carbon number 3 and carbon number 5. For example, if you've got a methyl and then somewhere you've got ethyl, the di will not affect, and then you say D comes before E. So here you must look at the name of the substituent, which will be the M, the methyl, not the di. You don't look at the di for the naming. And then lastly, you must separate the numbers with the comma and then the number and the weight with the hyphen. You'll see when we write the name of these compounds. All right, let us look at the first example. The first example is straightforward. This one, you just check how many carbons we have on the long chain. If we count them, you've got carbon number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are no substituent, therefore you just name it the way it's appearing. And then because we've got 5 carbons, the name of this compound will be, okay, let's check step by step. We said first you check that you've got single bonds between all the carbons that are there. Therefore it belongs to the alkane, and then it will end with ANE. And then we said you've got 5 carbons, and then there are no substituent, and therefore the name will be pentane. All right? Then let us look at example number 2. Example number 2, you've got the structure that is appearing there. Let me just quickly draw it so that I can take you through it. Okay, I'm almost there. Let me just switch over so that you can see. Okay, this is the structure that we have with the hydrogens. You see, for each structure, I'm indicating the hydrogens. So if you don't do that during the examination, you are going to be penalized. You must show the hydrogens. Don't just draw. Even if in class the teacher doesn't show the hydrogen, don't draw it the way the teacher is doing it. Show the hydrogens, because at the end of the year, you are the one that is going to be marked and not the teacher. So be a clever learner and show the hydrogens. All right? So here is our structure or the compound. We want to give the name to this compound. So if you remember step number 1, we said you look at the long chain. So if we check here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you go that way, you've got 6. And then if I go this way, I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 is less than 6. I won't choose 5. And then if I go this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the long chain doesn't have to be straight. Sometimes it bends. Like I'm showing you here. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I still have 6. So I'm going to choose this one because this one is easy for me to work with, unlike the one that bends. So we said after identifying the long chain, we number the carbons in the parent, and then we number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I said to you, after doing that, you must also number it the other way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right? And then step number 2, we said you must identify your substituents. The substituents, if you look here, you've got a substituent with 1 carbon. So this will be a meth. Because there's 1 carbon, I know that's one, it will be a methyl. And then my substituent there has 2 carbons. This one will be ethyl. All right? And then step number 3, we check which one comes first. Because you've got M and E. If you look at our green label or the bottom label, E is at carbon number 3 and M is at carbon number 4. And then when I look at my red, M is at carbon number 3 and E is at carbon number 4. Therefore, according to the rules of naming the hydrocarbons or the alkanes, the one that comes first alphabetically must have a lower number. That is what we meant with that bullet there. The one that comes first alphabetically must have a number. So E comes first in the alphabetical order. It comes before M. Therefore, E must have a lower number. So I'm going to choose the bottom numbering instead of the top numbering, because bottom numbering gives me 3, top numbering gives me 4. And I know that 3 is lower than 4. All right? So step number 3, they say, after you have identified your substituents, when you name this, you must also label or give the position, the carbon number, where this substituent is appearing. So we say here at carbon number 3. At carbon number 3, we've got ethyl. And remember, according to what we just read there on those bullets, let me just go back and show you. The last point there, we said you use the hyphen and the comma to separate. Then the hyphen used to separate the number and the prefix, while the comma used to separate the numbers. All right? Now, because we only have one ethyl substituent at carbon number 3, the next thing that I must have there is the hyphen. And then I will write ethyl. And then I have another substituent there with the M. Because I'm going to write a prefix, I must also put the hyphen, and the position of this one is at carbon number 4, a hyphen, and the substituent name is methyl. And then the long chain has 6 carbons, and all of them are single bonds. 6 carbon, I know it's hex, because they are all single bond. It will end with A and E. This is very important. When you give this name, please make sure that you don't do a mistake there of writing it like methyl. I'll just write this last part, hexane, where you have the space between the E and the H there. Because what we have realized is when you are marked at the end of the year, you get penalized for this. So please write it not this way, it's wrong, but make sure that there's no space in between the name of the compound. It is just one name. All right? So the name of this one will be 3-ethyl 4-methyl hexane. So that is the name of our compound. So let's see whether we have done it the way that is supposed to be done. We said it contains all single bond, therefore it belongs to the homologous series of the alkanes, and then the suffix there will be ANE, and then because it has 6 carbons on the parent name, we are going to use the prefix HEX, hex, for 6. And then we've got the substituent of ethyl and another substituent of methyl. All right? And then we number our carbons, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we also do another numbering, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we check alphabetically. We said E comes before M, and therefore E has to have a lower number. We'll count from left. We'll take the red numbers there. And then at carbon number 3, we've got ethyl. At carbon number 4, we've got methyl. And then the parent name is hexane. So that is how you name your compounds. If you are given the structure and they say give the IUPAC name, that is how you must name the compound that is given to you. Okay, before we get to the alkene, let me just take you through the homework that you are going to have and show you what is it that you are supposed to do.